Welcome to the Inside Track on Real Estate with the Decker team. And I'm Ken Decker.
And I'm Ryan Decker.
And today we're going to talk about one of our favorite subjects. We like talking about investing in real estate. And before someone can invest in real estate, what needs to happen?
Well, generally they need the right mindset and the right foundation to be able to make good investments.
Okay, so we're going to talk about the foundation of... So this isn't like the nitty-gritty how-to.
No, this has very little to do with if I'm ready to invest, what to do. This is how to get in the right mindset and how to make sure you're going to be able to make great investments.
Okay, so it's all about mindset.
Mindset and habits.
Interesting. Okay, so I listened to a great talk a couple of months ago, actually. Was it a couple of months ago? Yeah, close to a couple of months ago. This person was the owner or publisher of Success Magazine. And he was talking about the compound effect. As a matter of fact, he wrote a book called The Compound Effect. It's on my nightstand right now, and I'm just getting into it. The compound effect of what we do every day affects where we end up. So, for instance, we could choose hamburger and French fries every day for lunch, and another person may choose a salad. And, you know, at age 16, those two people, 10 years from there, may not be a lot of difference between the two people. But 20, 30 years down the road, the person that chooses every day hamburger and French fries compared to the person that chooses salad, there's going to be a huge compound effect.
And you'll be able to see it.
Yes. But initially, you can't.
And another example of this is called the 20-mile march. You ever heard this one?
No.
Okay. So there was a bunch of groups racing up north, and the one group, every day, they did 20 miles. No matter if it was good weather, bad weather, storm, sunny skies, always 20 miles every day. That's it.
Okay.
And the other groups, if it was a good day, they would gun it, they would go, go, go. And then if it was a really poor day, they would just sleep and rest and, stay in shelter. And two things happened. One is the 20-mile people were the first to arrive. And the second thing that happened is the other groups all died.
First to arrive where?
Yeah. So morbid, and understand that what Ken's saying about consistent consecutive action has huge dividends over time.
So this was up north. They were having a race or something?
Yeah. And the one group just did 20 miles no matter what every day. 20 miles, 20 miles. And the other group were, okay, I feel energetic today, so I'm going to go for it. Or I don't feel like it today, so we're not going to do it. So it was based on their feelings and not their conviction.
Okay. Interesting. I never heard that one. All right. So how do we relate this to investing in real estate mindset?
Awesome. So how we relate that is if you are just feeling like, well, I'm not an investor, or, I'll invest when I'm ready, or I'll invest when I feel like it, you're either going to be that person who just doesn't eat properly every day, or you're going to be that person who doesn't take the right consistent actions, and so they don't ever end up getting to their goal.
I get it. Okay, so if I want to invest in real estate, I'm going to need a little bit of money.
Yep.
Right?
Generally.
And if I make poor decisions on a daily basis where I'm spending more money or all the money that I'm making, then I'm not going to have money left over to accumulate day after day after day till there's enough to actually make a big investment.
Yeah. So to break this down even further, most Canadians are spending more than they earn.
Okay.
And so if you're constantly going into debt...
Most governments are too, by the way.
Most governments are too. It's really hard to have something left over. And then there's another portion of the population that spends exactly what they get. So they also have nothing left over to invest.
Okay.
They can get to investing quicker, but there's still nothing to invest.
There's a proverbs around that, I think. It says something like in the house of the wise are choice oils and foods and storehouses of stuff. And then it says the fool consumes all that they have. So they spend everything they make.
And then that's it. And so some people are like, well, can't you invest with no money down? Isn't that possible? Well, sure. And if you're the person who's been spending every dime you get, I'm a strong believer that how you do anything is how you generally do everything. And so if you, with your own life, spend everything you get, do you think you'll be able to find an investment that actually pays more than it costs?
Maybe.
Maybe, but maybe not.
And what will you do with it anyways? You'll spend it.
You'll spend it. So even if it made you money, you wouldn't be any better off.
Right.
So really the foundation is the first place to start. What are you doing with your own money? What are you doing with your own income? How do you view money?
Yeah, that's interesting because, I've heard that money is the root of all evil.
Or that rich
that
people
true?
are greedy.
Is that true?
The first one?
Any of those? Both of those?
I would say no. Now, for those of you who are believers, the Bible doesn't say money is the root of all evil.
No.
It says the love of money is the root of evil.
Is a root.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, depending on your translation, yeah.
Okay. So that's interesting. And so we have this maybe warped mindset around money, and we're not going to attract money. Because money in itself is worthless. It's pieces of paper or plastic or whatever.
There's no tied value to it except the perceived.
Yeah, it's perceived value. And what can we do with that money is what's really important. That's why people want to build wealth, I believe, is to do good things with that money. Now, is God okay if we have some nice things? I think He's okay if we have nice things. If you read the Bible, He blessed a lot of people. He blessed His leaders. He blessed people with a heart after Himself. But He doesn't promise it.
No.
Does not promise it. And so here we are looking at our mindset, and if our mindset is a limiting belief mindset, or that I can't own property, or I'm not good at managing property, or I'm not good at managing a tenant or anything of that nature, well then our body and our brain will go do everything to protect ourselves from getting into that situation. It might be we spend all we have, or maybe we go into what we consider secure investments like GICs or things of that nature.
And why is that bad? Let's hit that real quick.
Well, it's preserving our capital to a point, but typically the interest rate that you're receiving right now on even high interest rate GICs or whatever is less than the rate of inflation. So 10 years down the road, we may have the same amount of money, or close to the same amount of money, but the buying power of that money is less. So we've actually lost money. So guaranteed to lose money.
Yeah, pretty crazy. And so going back, I'm just going to jump us back a bit. What if I think all rich people are greedy?
Well, then I don't want to be a rich person, probably.
No. You're gonna do everything in your subconscious power to stop you from getting money because you think they're greedy, and you don't want to be a greedy person because that's bad. And so you'll automatically either get rid of your money or invest it poorly, or so starting with positive mindsets or constructive mindsets, powerful mindsets, is you need to start there or you'll never get beyond that.
Okay, so I've heard it said that the subconscious is the goal getter and the conscious mind is the goal setter, and that the subconscious mind is like thousands and thousands of times more powerful and faster than the conscious mind. But if they don't line up, and your conscious mind is I want to build wealth, or I want to be different than my parents, or I want whatever, if the conscious mind and if the unconscious mind is programmed in that money is evil, rich people are greedy, you need real money to be able to drive a car like that, or you need real money to be able to own a building. Those kind of self-talk in the subconscious is like having a sports car and keeping the emergency brake pulled on while you're trying to drive it, to accelerate it. And your subconscious will hold back your goals. But if they align,
then you can really get
look
momentum.
out. Yeah. Okay. So that's kind of the mindset.
And for those of you who do believe that rich people are greedy, we are strong believers that rich people are magnified. So that means if you have a lot of wealth and you were greedy before, you're going to be really, really greedy. And if you were really, really generous with a little, when you have a lot, you're going to be really, really, really generous with that amount.
Mm-hmm. I recently read the Legacy Journey by Dave Ramsey. And Dave Ramsey, I love his talks. He's a great teacher on biblical strength of what to do about getting out of debt, staying and building wealth. And Dave was telling a story in that book where he went out to he had a round table with some very, very wealthy people. One of them was significantly wealthy, and that person in the talk was saying how he had just donated, I think it was, don't quote me on this, but I think it was like $500 million that year he had donated to charity projects and that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And when they were going out to lunch, he said to Dave, "Oh, I need to apologize for my car." And Dave said, "Well, why? Did you drive a beater?" "I drove a beater for a long time, right? Even though I had wealth, I drove an old car because it was a waste of money." And he goes, "No, actually, it's the contrary. It's a very, very nice car." And he just bought a new car. It was maybe it was a Mercedes, and I think it was about $130,000 or something. So for this person, his net worth was in the billions. So the value of that car compared to the net worth or the net equity of this person, not net worth, because net worth sounds like the amount of money you have affects the worth of the person, and that's not true at all. So I like the word net equity. So just talking about money, the amount of money they had. So he's a billionaire. He's given away a lot of his money because he believes called to. And here's a gentleman that's getting hate mail from Christians because he drives a nice car. And they're giving him hate mail and saying, think of the number of poor people you could feed or whatever with that money. And so it was an interesting thing that his mindset, here's someone that God has blessed very, very much, who's very generous. Because if you give it all away, you can't keep earning money with it, right? So a gentleman like that can give away a lot of money every year if he's got enough amassed to make money with his money. So here's a very generous person that we're judging unfairly, really, based on a nice car that he's driving, because God's blessed him. So so that comes around the mindset. And if we're judging wealthy people as being greedy or not supporting the poor, then our subconscious is setting us up for not wanting to be wealthy. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, if you live in North America, you're already in the top 1% of earners in the world, so you are wealthy. You are the rich.
If you're listening to this radio station live or maybe even online, you are part of the wealthy.
Yeah, you are rich. So the scripture that talks about what the rich are to do, that's you. And many people read it and go, well, that's not me. Other people are more wealthy than me. They're the rich. But you have to read that scripture and say, oh, that's me they're talking about.
So if you're just tuning in now, we're talking about the foundation of investing in real estate.
Yes.
And the mindset. That goes
and you're listening to the Inside Track on real estate. So this is about real estate. It's about the mindset of wealthy investors in real estate who build wealth in real estate and then have ability to do great things for the kingdom with those funds.
So I want to do something. If I was listening and I was like, well, how do I know if I've got the mindset of someone who's poor, middle class, a millionaire, or a billionaire?
Okay, cool.
Right? Because you got to think it before you can do it. And you got to do it before you can have it. And so how do you know where you are as far as your mindset?
I don't know. How do you know?
Okay. So I'm going to give you an example, and it's not perfect. However, I think it's a pretty good representation of what you might be thinking. So someone who's poor, and they may have money, but they have a poor mindset. They're on the street walking down. They don't live on the street. They're walking down the street, and they see a restaurant.
Okay.
And right away they say, "Oh, I could never afford that. I need to go to the grocery store. I can't afford to eat out."
Okay.
And then they see a car, and it's like a really nice car. What's one of your favorite cars?
I don't know. I like Corvettes.
Okay, a Corvette, and it's just sparkling red, just candy apple, beautiful. You know, it's just been cleaned, and they look at it and go, "I'll never have that. I could never have something like that." And then they see a lady walking down the street in really nice attire, really expensive clothes, a Gucci purse, and I don't know my clothing. So really nice clothes, and they say, "I'll never be able to afford that." And so their mantra is almost, "That's not for me. You know, I just can't afford something like that." And then you get to the middle class, and how they see the restaurant is, "Oh, well, am I hungry? Would I like to eat there? Have any of my friends told me it's a good restaurant?" And then when they see the car, they're like, "Well, could I put it on payments? Can I afford the payments? You know, I'd like to drive something like that," if they like that kind of car. "So can I afford the payments?" And then they see the clothing, and they may decide that they want to go buy it cash, or they may decide they could put it on credit if they like that kind of clothing. Now you get to the millionaire mindset. And when they see that building, what do they see? The restaurant.
They say, "Could I own that restaurant?
Could I own it?
Could I own that building that restaurant's in?
What's the cash flow? Does it make money?
Yeah.
You know, so they're no longer looking at a place to eat. They're looking at a place to buy and own and have. And maybe it's not for them to buy, but they're just curious at the values of real estate. And then they see the car, and if they like the car, they might decide to buy it. And if they don't like the car, well, then they won't. But what's interesting is even if they buy it, they will be abundantly clear that they're burning money. It's not an investment.
And they don't care.
They either buy it because they don't care, or they don't buy it because they do care. But there's an understanding that if I buy this vehicle cash, that I will be losing equity instantly. It's not an investment.
Right. And
it'll be cash.
Yeah. And they're saying that the value of the experience of driving that vehicle is worth it.
If they buy it.
If they buy it.
Yeah, and if they don't, well, it's just
it wasn't worth it.
Yeah, it wasn't worth it to them. But the big difference here is payments and purchase. And if I do purchase it, I know there's a cost, but I'm willing to pay that cost.
Right. And that's an interesting mindset.
Yeah, very different. And now we get into the billionaire. Now this one I don't know a ton about. However, when they see that building or that car, they may buy it as well. However, what they're thinking is, how do I fund the millionaire? How do I fund the millionaire to buy this building? How do I get a bunch of millionaires and pool their money and then make money off their money? So they're thinking a much bigger picture. They're almost looking at it from a bird's eye view.
Okay. Interesting.
So the reason we went through that is maybe when you're seeing it, you'll see some of the areas where you might be in different areas. And now that you have clarity on it, you can start to make different decisions.
Right.
If you choose.
If you choose. Yeah. So what you're saying is, if I'm thinking I may like to own a investment property at some point, then I've got to start having the mindset of owner. Yeah. And then I need to, that's going to start changing my daily patterns. Because even that restaurant example, you know, where somebody may have money and, you know, and they decide, well, I'd rather own a building than go out for dinner, because right now that's my choice. I either put extra money away or I go out for dinner. There's not go out for dinner and put extra money away. That choice isn't available to me. It's one or the other. So if I choose to go to the grocery store and spend $10 to eat dinner or instead of $50 to eat dinner, and I put the $40 away towards a future investment,
that adds up very quickly.
That starts to add up, and now that person's making a conscious decision. They'd rather be a real estate owner than be a person that goes to a restaurant every day or every couple days.
Yeah. So it really comes down to be, do, have, and it's hard to explain this over radio, but we're gonna work at it. So, a lot of people believe if you have the money, then you'll be rich, and then you can do rich people things.
Okay, you'll
Right?
feel or be.
So if I have $1 million, I can go on a cruise and have all this real estate.
So I can do what rich people do.
Yeah, and then I'd be rich,
Okay.
right? The reality is it's actually reverse. Maybe you're in sales and you make a couple more calls because that's what the rich person would be doing. Or maybe instead of going out for dinner, you save that extra little bit so you can start investing in real estate, like you mentioned before. And then eventually you will have.
So I have to be, and then I got to do what the wealthy do, and then I can have what the wealthy have, or the highly successful. And success is that process. It's that one decision at a time that makes a big difference.
Yeah. So a lot of us believe in the underdog, right? We want the underdog to win, and success is overnight. We have that hallucination that that's how it should be. And the reality is that underdog who eventually makes it to the top worked at it and worked at it and worked at it and worked at it and worked at it.
He's a 20-year overnight success.
Yeah, exactly. And so if there's something that you feel God's put in you, or something that you're really excited about, then maybe it's time to get off the couch, stop watching TV, and go do something about it. And it might not be successful overnight, but the process needs to start at some point.
Yeah, they say everyone's got $1 million idea in their head.
At least one.
At least one. Yeah, and they also say everyone's got a good book in their head too, because everyone's got life experience that others could learn from. And if we were going to spend time writing that, as opposed to, like you say, watching TV, because watching TV is okay, and yet it can become a brain-numbing, brain cell-sucking experience if we're spending 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hours a day watching TV.
Yeah.
All it's doing is numbing us out, really.
Yeah. And some people don't struggle with this. Some people are able to watch TV for an hour a week or an hour a day, and it's not a big deal for them. For me, though, it was a big deal. So I've made a decision not to watch TV all year.
Okay.
And it's dramatically changed the things I'm excited about, the actions I'm taking. And I believe that's just about being, because I felt God calling me to that. So I was in obedience. And when I got into obedience, everything shifted.
Okay. So you're on a journey right now. On a growth journey.
Growth journey.
Cool. So you're in development stage
With?
of a really cool product.
Yeah. We've talked about it a few times on this show. It's called Toperty. And it allows people to look at what an investment property can do for them over the next 25 years.
Right.
And we're going to be doing some free education, which will teach people about the process of investing.
So if they want to register for those free videos,
Free
right?
videos, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So you can watch them at home.
How are they going to register for that?
You can email in to info@deckerteam.com, and in the subject line just say Toperty videos or investment videos, and we'll be able to send you those videos so you can start getting educated at home.
Okay. And then the second Thursday of each month, they can come to a wealth building workshop where we answer questions. We talk about really some of the differences in what we believe compared to maybe what the financial planners or some financial planners. There's some really great financial planners out there. What some of the banks are teaching.
And what's interesting about the banks, right, is they're spending tons of money, like crazy amounts, to educate us on how to invest, and what a good investment is, and where we should be getting our advice from. And the reality is, all that money is so they can make money. It's not so you can be smarter. And so if you've been getting your education from the bank or from mortgage brokers, you probably, when I said this, you had this twist in your gut like, oh, he's so right. What have I been doing? Come to the Invest It workshop, and we can set some of those things that just aren't true right for you.
Change your mindset on money. and wealth. And really, it's a matter of having some knowledge to make the right decisions. And you get to choose. You get to choose the decisions you make with what God's blessed you with. And I think you'll eventually be held accountable for those decisions. That's a whole nother story. But I think in North America we've been blessed with so much, and we're not necessarily managing it the way God would like us to do. And I stand guilty in front of Him. You know, I'm not perfect, definitely not. So let's talk about an investment property.
Awesome.
Since we were talking about investment mindsets, maybe somebody has $2.3 million kicking around. I got a nice property in Kemptville. Actually, it's 15 units. So it's 12 residential and 3 commercial units, all around 1,000 square feet each.
Wow.
Pretty much 14 of the 15 units have been totally updated. New kitchens, new bathrooms, new drywall, new electrical, new flooring, paint,
not a
trim.
lot of maintenance left.
No, those are pretty sharp. We've redone the hallways. We spent, and I say we because I'm actually a co-owner in this property. We spent about $110,000 on the roof sheathing.
Wow.
So the roof has been fixed up. The exterior has been fixed up some. We've changed a bunch of windows and doors. It's in pretty good shape, and it's fully rented. It's, well, let me rephrase that. There's a couple that are going to be rented. They're just finished construction of them, so they couldn't be rented before. And that property is listed at $2.3 million. Wow. Might be a good property for someone who's been saving some money, or somebody that has liquidated, or maybe a group of people that want to get their feet wet and get into a bigger building. So it's the type of building where you'd want a property manager, so it's kind of hands-off, a little less. Right downtown Kemptville, $2.3 million. If you're interested in that, give us a shout at 613-860-4663. That's 613-860-4663. We'd be happy to discuss that and any other of your investing plans. And if you'd like to come out to one of our wealth building workshops, call us at the same number, 613-860-4663. We're glad you joined us on the Inside Track on Real Estate. Bye for now.